The Pedro Pascal fatigue. Introduction. Every era of Hollywood has its actor, the face who dominates the screens, the headlines, and the cultural conversation. For the early 2020s, that actor was Pedro Pascal. He was everywhere. On The Mandalorian, The Last of Us, Narcos, blockbuster films, magazine covers, and endless TikTok edits. The internet christened him Daddy, and he became a global obsession, the symbol of warmth, humor, and effortless charm. But like any cultural phenomenon, the love story between the public and Pascal carried within it the seeds of exhaustion. Fame, when stretched too far, transforms admiration into fatigue. And by 2025, whispers began to surface across social media, entertainment journalism, and fan spaces. Are we tired of Pedro Pascal? This is the story of how Hollywood and the internet built Pedro Pascal into a global icon, and how the very same forces turned him into a victim of overexposure. Chapter 1. The Long Road to Stardom. Pedro Pascal did not become a household name overnight. For decades, he was just another actor trying to survive the brutal industry machine. Born in Santiago, Chile, and raised in the United States, Pascal carried both the weight of his immigrant identity and the dream of stardom. But Hollywood is ruthless, and for years, he scraped by with one-off guest roles. He appeared on shows like Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Law and Order, and The Good Wife. To most viewers, he was forgettable. To Pascal, it was survival. Acting wasn't glamour, it was grinding auditions, rejections, and fleeting moments of screen time. His big break came in 2014 with Game of Thrones. As a Baron Martell, Pascal became a fan favorite almost instantly. His fiery performance, dripping with charisma and sensuality, was unforgettable. His death scene was among the most shocking in the series, cementing him in the cultural memory even as his character's story ended. That brief but powerful role marked the beginning of something larger. Hollywood took notice. Chapter 2. The Streaming Age and Pascal's Ascension. The 2010s were defined by the streaming revolution, and Pascal became one of its kings. He joined Netflix's Narcos, playing DEA agent Javier Peña. The role gave him credibility as a leading man, but it was just the warm-up for what came next. In 2019, Pascal took on the role of Din Djarin in The Mandalorian. The show was Disney Plus' flagship series, and it exploded into a cultural phenomenon. Baby Yoda, or Grogu, as fans later learned, stole hearts, but Pascal gave the character depth. Behind the helmet, his voice and body language carried emotional weight. Then came The Last of Us in 2023, and Pascal's career hit its zenith. Playing Joel, a broken man navigating a post-apocalyptic world with Ellie, Pascal gave a performance that was both gritty and heartbreaking. Fans of the video game praised his faithfulness to the source material, while new audiences marveled at his emotional range. Critics hailed it as one of the best TV performances of the decade. At this point, Pascal wasn't just an actor, he was the actor. Chapter 3. The Meme-ification of Pedro Pascal. The internet took Pascal's image and turned it into fuel for its never-ending content machine. He was funny, awkward, charming, and genuine in interviews. Clips of him giggling or making silly faces went viral. TikTok edits portrayed him as the perfect man. Twitter threads documented his every move. Fans gave him the nickname, Daddy, a label Pascal embraced with bemusement. It became a shorthand for his appeal, a mix of authority, warmth, and sex appeal. Every public appearance, from red carpets to late-night interviews, was dissected and remixed into memes. For a time, this only fueled his popularity. He was approachable, funny, and unpretentious. He didn't carry himself with the guardedness of other celebrities. He joked about his internet daddy status, leaned into the memes, and seemed to enjoy the ride. But the internet's love is volatile. What burns bright eventually burns out. Chapter 4. Oversaturation. By 2023-2024, Pascal's face was inescapable. He was headlining two of the biggest TV shows in the world at the same time. He was appearing in films, magazine shoots, commercials, and viral videos. He was invited to every award show, every late-night talk show, every industry panel. It wasn't just that Pascal was successful, it was that Hollywood had made him its go-to star. Need a gruff but lovable father figure. Cast Pascal. Need a rugged action hero with heart. Cast Pascal. Need a meme-worthy internet star to boost social engagement. Cast Pascal. The roles began to blur together. Fans noticed the similarities between Din Djarin and Joel, both stoic, both reluctant father figures, both navigating violence and trauma. Critics started to ask if Pascal was being typecast, and audiences began to tire of seeing the same archetype recycled. The meme-ification of Pascal also contributed to fatigue. What was once endearing, his quirks, his awkward charm, started to feel overplayed when pushed into the spotlight constantly. Jokes that had once gone viral now felt stale. The internet, as always, turned. Chapter 5, The Backlash. By 2025, the cracks were showing. Social media users began posting about Pedro Pascal fatigue. Think pieces appeared in entertainment outlets asking whether Pascal had become overexposed. Memes mocking his ubiquity circulated alongside the old fan edits. Fans who once adored him now complained that Hollywood was forcing him into every project. Threads appeared on Reddit asking why studios were Pedro washing roles instead of giving opportunities to new actors. Pascal himself, though still beloved, started to seem tired. In interviews, his charm was intact, but his exhaustion showed through. Fame had made him a global icon, but it had also turned him into a brand, a commodity that could be packaged, sold, and consumed endlessly. Chapter 6, The Human Behind the Meme. It's easy to forget that behind the meme, the daddy label, and the constant coverage, Pedro Pascal is a person. The grind of fame is relentless. With every interview, every photo shoot, every fan expectation, the boundary between Pedro the actor and Pedro the internet phenomenon blurred. Pascal's story reflects a larger truth about Hollywood and celebrity culture. We build stars up until they become unavoidable, and then we punish them for being everywhere. The cycle is cruel but predictable. Chapter 7, What Pedro Pascal Fatigue Says About Us. The rise and fatigue of Pedro Pascal isn't just about him, it's about us. It's about the internet's insatiable hunger for content, Hollywood's tendency to exploit trends until they collapse, and the fickle nature of fandoms. We live in a culture that demands constant novelty but also constant presence. We want stars who feel authentic, but we strip away their authenticity by turning them into commodities. We love them until we don't, and then we move on to the next obsession. Pascal's fatigue isn't a failure of his talent. He remains one of the most versatile and magnetic actors of his generation. The fatigue comes from overexposure, from the machinery of fame, and from our collective habit of consuming people-like products. Chapter 8, The Future. So what comes next for Pedro Pascal? Fatigue is not the same as downfall. Unlike actors whose reputations collapse under scandal, Pascal's issue is oversaturation, not disgrace. Time away from the spotlight, careful role selection, and a pivot toward less meme-ified work could restore balance. History shows that stars can rebound from fatigue. Leonardo DiCaprio, Jennifer Lawrence, and Matthew McConaughey all faced periods of overexposure before reinventing themselves. Pascal has the talent to do the same. But his story remains a cautionary tale, not just for him, but for the culture that created him. Conclusion. Pedro Pascal's rise was meteoric, his charm undeniable, his talent unquestionable. He became the internet's darling, Hollywood's go-to leading man, and a global icon. But the same forces that elevated him also pushed him to the point of oversaturation. The Pedro Pascal fatigue is not about Pedro failing his audience. It is about how quickly we consume, how ruthlessly Hollywood recycles, and how easily we turn affection into exhaustion. In time, the fatigue may fade. Pascal